This is how you can prove to yourself that any invisible parallel reality or state already exists right here, right now. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you in more detail why everything that you can imagine is present right now and how you can actually prove this to yourself. I'm also going to quote one of Neville Goddard's lectures called The Game of Life, in which he explains in detail how to use your imagination correctly to animate or externalize any parallel reality or state on the screen of space, or how to make any invisible state visible. In Genesis, the story is told of Isaac, who was unable to see but capable of feeling, calling to his son Jacob, saying, "Come close, my son, that I may feel you. Your voice sounds like my son Jacob, but you feel like Esau." At that moment, Jacob, the imaginary, purely subjective state, possessed the qualities of Esau, the objective world. So Isaac gave the imaginary state the right to be born. Neville Goddard. So you are Isaac, who is blind at the moment, because you cannot see the state or reality that you want to shift into or objectify on the screen of space. The state is invisible to you at the moment. So you are Isaac, who wants to objectify the subjective state, which is called Jacob, on the screen of space. And although you cannot see it with your mortal eye, but you can feel it in your imagination, you can mentally sense it or feel it, and give that state the reality in your mind's eye. So any invisible state or parallel reality already exists right here, now. If it was not, you simply could not perceive that state or reality in your mind's eye or in your imagination. In fact, there is already the parallel version of you who is already in your desired reality. Basically, you are already where you want to be right now. Because your true self is your awareness of being and that which is God. So it's basically showing you that you are already in your desired reality. And your physical body will simply follow you through the bridge of incidents. As long as you remain faithful to that awareness of already being in your desired reality, or already having that which you desire. Whatever you desire, believe that you have received it, and you will. Mark 11:24. If you must believe you have received your desire in order to attain it, then you must start your game of life by believing it is finished. You must feel yourself into and partaking of your goal. And you must persist in that feeling in order to achieve it. Let me put it this way. The game of life is won by those who compare their thoughts and feelings within to what appears on the outside. And the game is lost by those who do not recognize this law. Being consumed by anger, they see no change in their world. But if they would change their mood, their circumstances would change. Then they would recognize the law behind their world. So if you apply this law, you can predict your future. Feel a new mood rise within you. Sustain it, and soon you will meet people who embody this new state. Even inanimate objects are under the sway of these affinities. In a certain mood, I have gone to my library and removed a book I have not touched in years. And when I casually open it, I find confirmation of my mood. A table, though remaining the same, will be seen differently based upon your momentary mood, for everything reflects it. It is your mood which decides your fortune, not your fortune that decides your mood. People feeling poor attract poverty, not knowing that if they felt rich, they would attract wealth. So what Neville is saying here is that you cannot see any particular state or reality unless you become that state. In other words, you must view your world from your desired state or reality in order to be able to perceive that state or reality or make it visible to yourself. So you must view everything through the eyes of the version of you who is already in your desired reality, through the awareness of the you who is already there. So you must be in the mood that represents that particular state or reality that you want to shift into, because your mood dictates your perception of things. You can only perceive the reality or state that you are mentally aligned with. Otherwise, it will remain invisible to you. In the book of Proverbs, it said, "The spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord." Now, the lamp of the Lord is the light of the world. We contain that light, and nature, the genie, is our slave, fashioning the world as our mood dictates. By nature, I mean all of humanity, the animal, plant, and mineral world. In fact, everything that appears on the outside is a slave of this lamp. Fashioned from within, the slave will fashion your world to reflect your thoughts, and no power can stop their fulfillment. Become aware of what you are thinking, and you will recognize a law between your mood and your surrounding circumstances. Then you will predict with certainty, because you know certain events being in harmony with your mood must appear. Everything, whether a living being or an inanimate object, such as a book, must appear to bear witness to your mood. Now, in order to play the game of life, you must know what you want to replace what you have. When you know what it is, you must assume the feeling that you have it. Although your reason and senses will deny its existence, persistence will cause your assumption to harden into fact and objectify itself upon your screen of space. Play the game this way. You may think it doesn't work, but that's because you have not tried it. You may believe the idea is stupid, but I tell you, the mood decides your fortune. Believe me, for I have proved this principle over and over again in my life. Neville Goddard. Life itself is caused by the assemblage of mental states, which occurring creates that which the assemblage implied. After you have assembled your mental state and allowed it to occur within you, you do not have to repeat the act. You cast your bread upon the water the moment you felt relief. Although you do not have a physical expression in a sexual manner, relief is possible, and of all the pleasures of the world, relief is the most keenly felt. When someone you dearly love is late, you anxiously await that key in the door. And when you hear their voice, your relief is keenly felt. That is the same kind of relief you will have when you have imagined correctly. If you find it necessary to recreate the act every day, you are not casting your bread upon the water. You may imagine over and over again, but you are only going to impregnate once. And if you reach the point of relief, your bread has been cast upon the water to return, perhaps in the matter of an hour. I have had the phone ring minutes after I have imagined it, to hear confirmation that it has happened. Sometimes it has taken days, weeks, or months, but I do not repeat the action once I have done it and felt the feeling of relief, for I know there is nothing more I need to do. So what Neville is saying here is that you need to loop your imaginal scene until the feeling of already having that which you desire becomes natural to you, or until you feel the thrill or the relief of possessing of that which you desire. It was Winston Churchill who galvanized the Western world by putting his words into practice. In spite of the horrors and bombing in London, Mr. Churchill sustained the mood of victory, and even in the darkest days, he would not waver. Knowing the mood would externalize itself around the world, he sustained the mood, while his opponents, not knowing the law, put their trust in armies and machinery of war. Mr. Churchill's wonderful statement, recorded in the New York Times, has proved itself to me. By simply catching the mood, I have changed the circumstances of my life. Now I teach others how to do it. I invite you to ask yourself how you would feel if your desire was now fulfilled. Toy with the thought, play with it a while, and the mood will come upon you. Let me tell you of a lady I know who in her middle 60s had nothing when she put this principle into practice. Every morning as she soaked in the tub, prior to going to her $75 a week job, she would say to herself, "Something wonderful is happening to me now." She kept playing upon the mood, toying with the feeling that something wonderful was happening. That very week, she received her first breakthrough. For 30-odd years, this lady had attended the opera, concerts, and Broadway shows with an intimate friend. Every night they dined in some fabulous restaurant. But he had told her many times he would never give her any money. But he suddenly had a change of heart and signed over a $100,000 trust fund to her, to be spent immediately as she so desired. A short time later, she began to apply the law to a greater degree, and he again set up another $100,000 fund to her. Now this lady, whose rent is $165 per month, can't spend the income she receives from a $200,000 fund, plus her Social Security. The law has its positive as well as its negative side. I'm not here to judge how you use the law, but leave you to practice it as you will. If you are in the habit of thinking negatively, you are not going to sustain the thought that you are all you want to be. You may hold it for a few seconds, and if it does not prove itself instantly, you may deny it. But in order to play the game of life, you must know the rules and apply them. And remember, as in every game, there are rules whose violation causes failure. You cannot deceive yourself, for God is not mocked. As you sow, so shall you reap. You cannot get away from the observer in you, for he and you are one. If you know what you did, then he knows. For your awareness and the Father of your world are one. You cannot deceive yourself. You cannot mock yourself. God is going to record your every violation and mold your world in harmony with your feelings. So what Neville is saying here is that the observer in you is your awareness of being, and that is who you truly are, and that which is God. So your awareness of being and you are one. So whatever you become aware of being or having will be objectified on the screen of space. When I speak of imagination, I am referring to God in you, of which there are two sides, imagining and contacting. Contacts are what imagining is all about. When you imagine, you contact a feeling, and the feeling you imagine, you create. You are the same God who created the world and all within it. But while you are clothed in a garment of flesh and blood, meaning your physical body, you are keyed low. Awareness seems to be scattered, as everyone on the outside is aware, but no one needs ask another to aid in the change of his world, if he changes it on the inside. If another is necessary to bring about the change, he will, with or without his consent. You do not have to single out the individual to play the part in bringing about the change you have imagined. He will play his part if necessary, because we all intermingle. All you have to do is stand at the end, from within. I remember visiting my family in Barbados when I was told I could not leave the island for 7 months, but I wanted to leave on the next boat out. To me, being on that boat was my end. So while sitting on a chair in my parents' home, I entered the boat in my imagination and viewed the island as I was departing. I did not know how I would get on it, but a week later, when the boat left the island, I was there. This I know from experience. So what Neville Goddard is saying is that you don't need anyone's help in getting what you want, or you don't need to ask anyone to give you what you want. All you need to do is you need to give what you want to yourself in your imagination. Basically, you need to subjectively appropriate your desired state by becoming aware of already being in that state. And whoever needs to play the part in giving you what you want will play their part without their consent, meaning that they are going to think that it's their own idea. Because we are one awareness, so we all intermingle and influence each other. So if you imagine something, you are basically going to influence whoever needs to play that part in giving you what you want without their consent. In your desire to go anywhere, you must first go there in your imagination. And even those who may deny your request will aid you when the time is right. I got out of the army that way. Knowing I wanted to be honorably discharged, and in my apartment in New York City, I slept as though it had already happened, and I was already there. Then my captain, who had previously disallowed my discharge, had a change of heart and aided in my release. Anyone can do it. This game is easy to play and can be lots of fun in the doing. Think of an object you would like to hold. Think of a place you would desire to be. Then find an object in that room and feel it until it takes on the tones of reality. Don't make it a lamp, but that lamp. Not a table, but that table. Sit in that chair until you feel the chair around you. View the room from that chair, and you are there, for you are all imagination, and must be wherever you are in your imagination. Now cast your breath upon the water by feeling the relief of being there, and let your genie, who is your slave, build a bridge of incident over which you will cross to sit in that chair, hold that lamp, and touch that table. Neville Goddard.